Howdy lovelies, how are you all doing? Welcome back to our crafting where we learn, grow and craft together. In today's session, we are going to work on our accordion folder and making some more fold out flaps and then add some hidden pockets. Now for this, we're still going to use some black cardstock, so you can get those together. And if you have any other cardstock that you want to add, we will also be using some buttermilk color paper as well to add to the accordion folder. So without further ado, let's get our paper out. So this is what we had done previously. We added the flaps to our accordion, and I realized I added my 3 flaps all to the same side, so there's nothing at the back. So seeing that we still have to add some and some pockets and all kinds, I am quickly going to add another one, but this time I am going to add it to the back of this sheet. Now we have used a part of this sheet before. If you remember, we cut a piece off so that we can make that double fold out, and we had cut a piece off so that we could actually make that joint for the 2 parts that came together to make the 8-page accordion. So grabbing my ruler and my craft knife, I am simply going to cut my paper. Remember, I want it a little bit shorter than our 13 centimeters. Our washi tape is pulling up there. So remember to just cut it a bit shy of that. So this would be 13, and we need the little bit to fold it over on. So I'm going to cut it there on 14. It will be a little bit wider, so let's put it in. So that will be on the line, making sure that it's flush top and bottom, and then we need to cut it down. Cutting it there at 14. Why at 14? Because we still need to fold it in. So I'm going to just score it on this side. It's just easier. Maybe I should just go ahead and cut another one. That way we have 2 to work with, maybe 3, and a shorter one that is lined up nicely, using the one sheet for the other as a gauge for the other. Making sure that that fits in. Get that sheet away for in case it slips and I cut it. And then we have some ruined cardstock. So you can do another one if you want to. You can add as many flaps as you wish. Remember, it should just always be that tiny bit smaller than the other page. Otherwise, it will sit right on top of that bend or crease. This can be used as a belly band, right in the middle, or a tuck spot on this side. So never throw away any piece of that. So I'm going to just line this up and then going to score it, and I'll do it on this side. There's something on my cutting mat about halfway, 1.5 centimeter. Score. We will not be able to score all of them right through because the layers are too thick. And the last one before we start with our pockets. If you followed my previous series, you would know that we started making the ephemera first, and then we went on making the signatures and the last bit of ephemera. And this time around, we're starting with the accordion first. Why do I do it this time around? Because we have to have it fit in the box. So we don't have that creative leeway with the 4-inch spine with the previous journal. We now have that tiny box that we have to deal with. And remember, the height of this box is 2 centimeters. So we really cannot have too much bulk going on in this journal. I just want to score the last one before I round the ends. This way we can have them fit in nicely. So whatever your measurements are, you have to just make sure that it is not as wide as your sheet or not as high, and work in the little bit of a gusset so that, and this one seems a bit skew, but it's still okay, it will fit in. Let's see if we do that one. Totally skew, look at that. How did I now score that one? I must have just trimmed it all wrong. So let's fix that one quickly, just so that it's not such an eyesore. And this way we know it is still skew. So you can refold this if you want to, or you can just trim that off a little bit, which is what I will do from here. So for us to see, I'll just move this so I can see what is happening here. Keep it flush to one side. I will just fix this, bring it right up, trim that little bitty off. Happens to the best of families, or in the best of families, whichever way you prefer to say it. And there. So just hold this tightly in place so that it doesn't slip, and then that bubble is sorted. Right, I just want to score this so that this is neatly creased. The same with this. We're going to trim that tiny little bit off, just so that we don't have that extra bits on the corners. So just miter it from the page, just at an angle. If you want to, you can use the same as we do with the tags and just trim that bitty off, just a tiny little bit. And the same with this one. That is slightly crooked, but it's more or less sorted. And after this, just trim them around the edges. And for these ones, going to put these two together at the same time, and then just trim that. The cardstock is not too thick, so it will go through easily. It saves a few seconds. So there we have that. Now I want to add these ones to this side of the journal so that we have another few flaps. Now all of them are done for side flaps and not flipping up or downwards. So you can add them at any place you want. Again, some glue. And I prefer liquid glue for this because it is a stronger glue. Now you can decide wherever you want. At this point in time, we have not added any other paper. We're going to glue this down, but not completely to the end. All right, this one is that very skew one. Always just be careful when you are working on your project so that you don't spill glue. Otherwise, it can potentially mess up your whole project. Now you can line the outside up first, making sure it's just to the inside of that crease line, and grab a baby wipe. Just wipe that excess off while you are burnishing that well. So now excess is running out, and there we have that. Now that's the crooked page, and the more we try to fix it, the more it is crooked. But there we go. So let's add another one. So I'll just close this one. That one goes this way. Just making sure we keep that together. This there. This is that fold, so I wouldn't want to add one there. Let's add another one on this side. This time around from this way. And you know what? I just realized I never trimmed these. So let's quickly trim it from the top. I'm so worried about the side, but I never trimmed the top. So we can do a slight little bit from either way, just so that it doesn't take too much away from the page. How could I now forget to do that? So we will just have to retrim the corners. Just a tiny little bit, about 1/16 of an inch. You can go to 2 if you really want to. For those working in centimeters, it could be 2 millimeters that you have to take off there. Just redo those roundings. And there you have it. That is then sorted. So let's start again. And I said I want it this way this time. So glue on this side. Not too much glue. You just want it to stick down well, but not spill out too much. Just line it up on the inside of that crease. And you can see where this is. So there we have that one. And how it fits in nicely, because it is trimmed from the top and bottom and from the sides. Never put it too close to the crease, because then there will be too much bulk. So let's just get this. If there's glue seeping out, just make sure it doesn't stick down your page to each other. We will be covering this anyway with paper, so that little bit of glue that's there, that's dry already, will not bother. So let's flip this one over and we can do another one. Again, some glue. And then we can start with our pockets. As we go through with this one, you will see there's a lot of repetition with the ephemera type, like things that we make to include in the journal. We will try and have a few new twists. So let's line it up there. I want to just press that down, fold it over, and it's nicely on the page. And this one is there. So let's just wipe that little bit of extra glue out of there. And this side we can just burnish it. Checking again to make sure there's nothing running out. And there we have it. We can crease this one just a little bit more. See how the glue is running out now from this side. You don't want that glue to dry, because it will make that sheen. It will give that sheen on the black cardstock. All right, let's get started with our pockets. So, how to make pockets? They're actually very, very easy. Let's quickly flip through this. We don't have anything there, so we can put a pocket or a belly band. We have that flip out that opens like this. Then we have that joint where the two parts were joined. Here we have another flip, or a flap if you want to call it a flap, or a fold out, as you wish. And then we have another one. So now we've got quite a number of pages in this accordion journal. So I'm using some of my own design papers today. You can, however, and my eye is just catching that little extra where we joined it. So I just want to open it up here and just trim that little bit, because that will bother me. Be careful not to cut your journal now. I just want to trim that part. There we have that. Awesome. Looks a whole lot better. Flip it out like this, so we keep it this way. Now you can decide whichever way you want to have this. This was that double fold flip over, just making it a little bit more interactive. That is why we have these fold outs, flip overs, fold overs, call them as you wish. So let's get started. The paper I have, I've got some plain. If you want to go for plain, you can stamp on them. I'm using this buttermilk yellow that we can add. It is 80 grams, so it is the same as copy paper. Absolutely the same as copy paper. And then I have some of my own digitals that I have created, and I printed them in paper and in cardstock. Now the cardstock are a little bit thicker. They are about 100 grams, and the paper is just normal copy paper. As you can see, my printer prints with a little white edge around so I can cut those out. So basically this with that bit of industrial grunge at the back, all kinds of different ones. And if I don't use it all for this project, I will be using for other projects. There are some repetitions as I was playing with the printing. Alright, so let's get started. For this, I will be using some of the cardstock. Other places we will add some paper. You can see here and there my printer didn't feed properly and there's a bigger space there, which is not an issue at all. You use what you have. Remember, in the previous series also I showed you how to make your own paper, your own tissue paper. So if you want to, you can go and have a look at those and you can then incorporate that in this journal. There's another one. Let's start with those and see where it takes us. I will put this to one side. We will get to adding the paper a little bit later on. I'm going to show you how to quickly just add the simplest of buckets to your journal. And I'm using the cardstock so that it is a little bit more sturdy. Of course, we will use some of this to make tags because it's already printed in the steampunk vibe. So that is awesome. Now this is printed just on one side. So I'm going to line it up on my cutting mat so that you can see there. Not a big one because remember it's only, the width is 13 centimeters if I'm not mistaken. Let me just quickly check again. 13 centimeters, so we can't go for that. It will be too wide to include, and it is then 18 centimeters long. So that's like about 7 and 5, yeah, 16th of an inch, the width. So I like this corner. I need a little space for the pocket, so I will be cutting it there. Let's just slice it there. I'm thinking, can I do the other one upside down? Maybe not. So we will slice it there. And then I'm going to go across. I'll show you what we do with the other part. There we go. We've got this little bit, so we're going to score it so that we can fold it in. Score it about 1 centimeter in, and the same on this side. And I am going to just add this at random at this point. Now for this one, I'm going to again miter it away from this. There, the same thing, and this one the same. And then we're going to fold this. So I'm grabbing my ruler. And I'm first going to bend it upwards because this is cardstock, and then we will fold it in the opposite direction. Now this is 1 centimeter, lift that and bend it upwards. Now we are going to bend it to the back. And then after that we can crease it. Oh, that one we still have to miter a little bit. What was I thinking? I scored just the corner. There we go. So we have that little bit there. And make sure that doesn't stick out. That's why we miter it there, so that it can be in line with that. And this one, you see, it now makes a perfect 90-degree fold in the corner. So I don't want to add anything right to the front now, so we are going to turn this over. So grab some glue and let's get merry. So when you want to add a pocket to the other side, obviously you have to now just do this to the other side. And what I mean with that is, there, we don't want it too big, and we didn't even ink the edges. That's new. I normally ink the edges and just burnish it so that it can stick well. And there we have our first pocket. So if you look to add something in there, I don't even have a tag next to me right now, but we can then add something in here. Let's take that little birdies that I had still from the other time. So there is our pocket. You can add something in there. So that's a very simple pocket that you can then add. So on this side, let's do one that needs to be the length. So I want to just trim this down. Let's line this up. A nice tuck spot. We need to, of course, trim this down now a little bit, but I also need to just get a circle punch to show you how we will cut out the little notch. So the notch is just there so that we can see it is actually a tuck spot, so that we can add some lovely goodies at a later point. So the length of this, and if you want to do it the lazy way, you can simply grab a pen and you can mark the length on your cutting mat so you know exactly what that length is. So if you have something that is longer than that, which is that tiny little bit, just a tiny little bit, make sure you keep that in the eye so it is on that. When I make my little tickets, I use strips like this that I will then just either cut down shorter or just adjust with another strip of paper, and that can be a beautiful label that then is matted or backed on a different printed piece of cardstock. You can, of course, go ahead and stamp some numbers or letters or whatever it is that you wish on there. So let's do the notch, and we want to do some inking on here as well. So remember, we want the notch on this side. If you do it on this side, you can put it in on this part here. And how did I now measure this? Oh, can you imagine that? It shows that, but it's longer than the page. Can you see that with but a mere bitty? So let's just make a mark with a pen so I can see that, and then we can just trim that off. Today is the day of misalignments and skew projects, I guess. Just line it up and then get this, but I'm just going to trim it that tiny little bitty. Can you imagine that? Luckily, you can fix it still. Just turn your punch over. Where is your midline? It's easy. You can fold it over. Just make a little crease there so you can see the middle of that. I already showed the middle point of my circle, and I'm going to punch halfway. Not a complete circle, just that little notch. Vintage photo. Going to add vintage photo to this and just ink all the edges. You could round that if you want to. And the inside, it just finishes off your project or your page, pocket in this case. And it doesn't show the white core of the paper. If you see there, you can see the white. Let me put it on the back, then maybe you can see this better. Then you can see that white part of the paper. There where it's inked, you can't really see that, which is so much better visually. I did ink that. There we have it. So, where do we want to put this? On this side. So we're going to put glue there and then add it to our journal. So now after you add the pockets, there's not much that you can do about directionality. Just a thin layer of glue. The thinner and closer to the edge you have it, the less space you are wasting in your tuck spot. Or call it a pocket. So now we are going to put this into our journal. Right on the edge, but not over the edge. Otherwise, you have to trim that down. Again, just grab the baby wipe and just add that extra, wipe that extra bit of glue that might be seeping out. Again, you can burnish it to make sure it is sticking down well. And there you have your second pocket. Now you can go on and add more pockets like you wish to. On these flaps, we can have tuck spots later. We can even have another fold out that's coming this way or over it. It's really up to you. I want to put a pocket here that is this way. So I want it up a bit higher. So we can use that part. And I want it more or less from there and I will just cut it across. I just want to show you how you can do this without wasting too much paper. Now for this, we're going to just cut across there where we made the mark, and then line this corner up with that corner there. Just trim that little bitty. Again, we're going to score it so that there is a fold line for us. Fold it up from the bottom upwards. Especially with cardstock, I find it's easier if we do it that way. You don't even need the bone folder. You can just do it with your fingers. And we're just going to miter the edge yet again. And the same with this. So let's fold it backwards. We're going to burnish it. And this one we also have to trim away because it's folding right over the pocket. And I just bent that one. Just miter that one a little bit more at an angle. Let me check. That is then fine. Awesome. Now ink the edges. You might have enough ink on your ink blending tool. You don't have to dip it into the ink pad every time. Even on that fold or the crease, you can just ink it a little bit. It truly just rounds off your work. So we're going to add it to here on this. I just moved it so there's a tad of glue there. I'm just going to burnish this. And there's a bit of glue running out, but we can just wipe it with a baby wipe. Now some of these pages I just want to show you how you can actually add paper, and I will use some of that cream paper. So this is flipping over. I want to add a piece there right across. So let that one just glue down properly. Let's do one this side. Same thing, we're going to have to cut the paper, and this is A4, so if you need to cut this down to fit, it will be 18.6 centimeters, so from the top to the bottom, and then 13 centimeters across. So it's easy. This will be the page. Just cut it down that tiny little bit shorter than this, not as wide, so that it can fit in. And then you can cut this down in two ways. You can either measure it, or you can glue it down and then trim off the excess. You can fold it, show where is your crease there, which is probably a faster way, or you can simply measure it 18 centimeters, 18.5. The actual size is 18.6. If you do 18.6, it will be too long and it will be over this page. So I'm going to just make sure that is in line and cut that. Now this would be a perfect little piece of paper that you can adjust and add to that. So cut the little strip smaller for numbers or something. So for this, I'm going to use glue stick and not liquid glue because this is quite thin. The paper, I mean to say, is quite thin. And I don't want to chance having it warping with adding liquid glue. Now, if you don't put too much liquid glue, it should be perfect. But it could be that it is warping, especially if you use this a lot. Let me just wipe that quickly before sticking this down. So, line it up, just so that it is away from that crease, and we will then have it straight down. You can burnish it with your bone folder, the card, and if you have a bit of glue on there like I have, just an eraser before it is dry, then you can get that off. And there we have that. So we've got that pocket, this stuck spot, another pocket on this side, so we've got one either side now. We've got this paper just to take the stark black away, that, and then we can add the rest. Now I'm going to add some pockets off camera. You can do the same and we will get back. You can cover all these papers, all the parts back and front if you so wish. I'm not going to cover some of the flip outs yet because I want to work on those still. So I would suggest you just put some paper and pockets down. If you put pockets down and you decided, oh, you want to have covered those, you can actually go in and just add paper on the inside of that to there. Because you glue it in there, it will still fit in. That is then all for today. I hope you found today's session helpful. I want to give you this time around with this series of the Steampunk Journal a little bit more leeway to go and do your own thing. If we show you every time what to do, you are bound to just do what I show you. I want you to explore. If you have questions, please feel free to ask me, reach out. I will be there to help you along. And if you mess it up, it's only paper. Remember, it's only paper. There's seldomly something with paper crafting that we can't fix. You saw earlier I had my measurements out, done it skew, but we can fix it. If it is so terrible that we can't fix it, we can always start again. Go have fun, try this for yourself, and if you do, please tag Wawa Crafting on social media. If you want to see more content like this, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't done so, please hit that subscription button and the notification bell so that you do not miss any new content that is uploaded. See you back soon. Goodbye.